Hello, everybody. Welcome to the open mic. I'm your host, Paige Falk. I hope y'all are doing great tonight. We have a good set, short set, but a good set of comics here tonight. So I have a little story to tell you about this summer. This summer I got into the yearly annual Falk family slapboxing tournament. I would have won, but apparently biting your opponent disqualifies you immediately. Not that I knew that, but you know, when mom threatens to bring the muzzle back out, you kind of gotta back off. Yeah, I haven't worn that muzzle since I was like 15. Not since my orthodontist threatened to rip my teeth out. I wasn't too happy about that. You know, when you put braces in my mouth, I was so excited because that was like double the biting power. But no. Also, my mom said that cost like $5,000, so wasn't gonna waste that money. Not that it was mine. Yeah, shout out to Dr. T. He saved a lot of people from having 4 fingers for the rest of their life. I got my first muzzle when I was 6 years old. Okay. Yeah, that was the best Christmas gift ever, period. I wore that thing like a badge of honor. Pitbulls named Princess had nothing on my ass. I was the neighborhood menace. They called me a springlock failure in the streets. I like to believe that my family was proud of my status as the neighborhood biter. Whenever my sister would bring home boyfriends, my mom would always introduce herself and be like, "Hi, welcome to the family. Like, we're nice. We don't bite, except for that one." And I would just be over here like. I bit every single one of my sister's boyfriends. Every single one, without fail. I feel bad for Josh. He had to go through the rest of his life with only 4 fingers on his right hand. You know what, you do what you gotta do sometimes. Now, I haven't bit anyone since I was 15. I think I outgrew the phase. Or, you know, people have gotten a lot better at keeping limbs away from my mouth. Who knows? But, anyway, my self-defense instructor did say that biting was a valid form of self-defense, so I pick it back up again. I got a couple new techniques to try out. And I need a new hobby. People say League of Legends isn't a great hobby to have. Yeah, anyway, that's enough out of the biter. My list fell on the floor, so next up, we have the wonderful Justin White.
Alright guys, enough jokes. It's time to get serious. We're going to talk about an illness. This illness has killed millions, harmed even more, and now is on the rise again. I'm talking about white rappers. White rappers typically come from an environment of too few black people and too many white kids with BMWs. And that makes my high school the Wuhan laboratory of white rap. We had this one white rapper. We'll say this. We'll say his name was Gary Massey, because that's his full legal name. But Gary didn't think Gary would be a good name for a career in rap. He was right. So he changed his name to Trey, spelled T-R-E, like how they spell 3 in Mexico. Let me talk about Trey. Trey played basketball for my high school. That was until, at a sleepover, he recorded himself jizzing on his sleeping friend's head. And then he had to transfer because we would chant Gary Glazer and Massey Masturbator at every home game. So after that, he was like, this is a great time to my rap career to take off. So here's what he did. He said, Mommy, I need a music video. So that's what he did. They got him a music video. They bought him a film crew, some airsoft guns with the tips removed, and a black brother. He was 7. In my experience, there's only 2 types of white rappers. One is just kids whose parents' names are blue on Wikipedia, and the other one is Eminem, whose parents are cousins. Mom spaghetti, I'm coming in my cousin already. Now, Trey's parents aren't related, as far as I'm aware, so he had to rely on his ability to hide his face and hire black people to stand next to him. And to go along with this, he again changed his name, this time to Trigga Trey, spelled Trigga. Now, I don't know who forgot to tell him this, but just because you put 80% of the N-word in front of your name doesn't mean you can say it. White rappers want to say the N-word so bad. It's crazy. And they can't. Or can they? They just need the right context. Because right now their context is they can't think of anything to rhyme with finger on the trigger and my gun big end. That's not context. I think I found the right context. It's very specific, but it's when you're in a hostage scenario. I'll give you some examples. You know the movie Captain Phillips? Yes? Yes or no? Yes? Alright, so if you haven't, it's based on a true story, and in the movie, these Somali pirates take over this boat. And it's based on a real, true story. And this wasn't in the movie, but in real life, Captain Phillips said the N-word over 150 times. Which seems excessive, but I think the first 3 or 4 were warranted, right? Here's another example. On 9/11, this is actually how they brought down Flight 93. Yeah, they just yelled it at the hijackers until they opened the door to correct them. And at that point, they rushed in, took control of the plane, and crashed it into a homing missile. But Trey and his peers aren't in a hostage crisis. They're just recording it and putting it on SoundCloud, which is horrible. I wish I could delete all white rap on SoundCloud, but I can't. Best I can do is just ruin it for all of you here. And that's what I'm gonna do. You guys wanna hear some rap?
Yeah.
Ready? I'm a white rapper trying to entertain the children's. Me and my stepsis, we fuck like pilgrims. Cause I'm well hung, call me Robin Williams. She plays with my crack like Hunter Biden. I'm in her cunt, I slide it. Wet like Poseidon, I broke her hymen. She's a tauntaun, I am Skywalker. I Princess Leia with my daughter. We fuck like incest. Ooh, my aunt's breast. My uncle's cock, my cousin's cat, my sister's slit. Need a family road trip. Granny's got an RV for an anus. It makes me anxious. I call it a bang bus. My family, we fuck each other. Not the kids, I'm no priest. Wait till 9, she's a beast. That's all. Follow me on LinkedIn.
Also follow him on SoundCloud. He gave me hope in white rappers. Next up, we have the other Justin Seymour.
Hey, keep it going for Paige, please. Yeah. And will you guys give me more time for the Purdue Club putting this all together? This is pretty cool, right? Yeah, this is great. Awesome. You guys are great to be here. I have kind of a strange look, don't I? This guy really wanted to grow up to be Johnny Bravo kind of a look, you know? I'm trying to work on this new joke. So let me get through this, okay? Some people would describe it as not likable, my look, you know? You can see it, right? And I get it. I have a very hateable face, I know, because if I saw myself in public, I would think, fuck that guy. Fuck him. And fuck everybody that looks like him. That guy looks like he gentrifies neighborhoods professionally. Like, that's what he does. Looks like he wakes up in the morning, and his first thought is, how can I make life hard for poor people? That's what he does. And I don't like it. I don't like my look. I wish I could. I just don't know what to do about it, you know? I don't know what to do about it. This haircut probably doesn't help, to be honest. But I think walking around looking like you take a fashion advice from the Hitler Youth is probably not a great place to start. But my barber is gay, and I don't have the heart to tell him you don't know what looks good on a man, dude. You know what I mean? I think it would crush him. I really do. But despite that, I got hit on this weekend, which was really interesting. I was doing a show in Chicago at the Laugh Factory, and after the show, a woman came up to me, and she tried to hit on me, which was great. This was her move. Her move was, hey, what's your zodiac sign? And I was like, I'm a Pisces. And she goes, you know what, I knew it. I could tell, just by looking at you, that you're a Pisces. And I thought it was amazing that she could do that, because I'm Sagittarius, actually. Because why not start a conversation with a lie, you know? Anyway, she goes, what do you think I am? And I looked at her. I really looked at her for a second. I was like, okay. And she was like a really thin, really skinny girl, you know, and she had but she also shaved her head, so I was like, Cancer? I thought it was a good guess. But you know what? I actually appreciated a woman coming on to me. That was nice for once. That almost never happens, does it, guys? Well, for you, sorry, man. I apologize. It almost never happens, and I wish it did. I wish women would hit on men more. The problem is men are never expecting it when women hit on us. We're never expecting it, so we get awkward and we don't know what to do. That's what happens. I only remember one other time that a woman ever tried to hit on me. This is what happened. Okay. I went to the movie theater with a buddy of mine, and this woman I've never met, she sat right next to me in the theater. But I'm talking to my buddy before the previews, and I'm telling him about this nature documentary I had seen recently, okay? And in this documentary, there was a snake, and it unhinged its jaw, and it swallowed this goat, an entire goat whole. It was pretty amazing. And the woman sitting next to me, she overheard that story, and she goes, oh my God, that'd be so awesome. I would love to be a snake. And I was like, why? And she goes, well, I want to swallow something big. Dude, not even going to lie to you guys. As an 8th grader, I was not ready for that. Seriously, I still think about it when I watch Shrek 2 every time. You know what I mean? But I did appreciate it, though. It was nice. But I'm actually engaged. I'm engaged now. I have a fiance. Thank you. Yes, I appreciate it. She's amazing. Her name's Lauren. She's great. Can I tell you guys the story of how I met her? It's kind of a cool story. So this is how I met my fiance, Lauren. I was at a party with some friends, and about halfway through the party, this girl walks in, and dude, when I say stunning, I mean smoke show, fucking smoke show. It's so hot. I can see her, and she's got these gorgeous eyes and just perfect hair, you know. I'm looking at her, and my heart, you know that thing where your heart stops a little bit, you have to catch your breath, you know what I'm talking about? You ever seen a girl that? Anyway, I'm looking at her across the party, and standing right next to her is my fiance, Lauren. So I went and talked to her, because I didn't think I could pull the other chick, you know? Yeah, I would describe my type as gettable. I'll try one more with you guys. I was watching the news the other day. I was watching the weather. And you know that newscaster voice that they all do on the news, that voice they use? They all talk like that, but you know what? Nobody ever talks like that in real life. Do you ever notice that? So why do they do it? Why do they talk like that? I think I figured it out. It's because that voice allows you to say bad and terrible things, but it doesn't make us feel bad when we're watching it. I was like, that's a pretty neat little trick. I was like, I would love to use that voice at my job. That would be awesome, you know? Like on Monday, when my boss asked me what my agenda is for the week, I would just love to be like, well, today, Greg, there's an 85% chance of not giving a shit about this job. Tomorrow we can expect to see mostly shitty lies that I spread about my coworkers for my own amusement. Wednesday through Friday, on the other hand, we're going to see scattered hours of avoiding work while scrolling through Facebook until we sail smoothly into the weekend, where we can expect to get drunk and have unprotected sex multiple times, ensuring that I have an itch and a hangover when I come back on Monday. That's going to be it for my weekly agenda. Back to you, Greg. Wouldn't that be fun? Guys, that's going to be it for me today. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Give it up for Justin one more time. You could probably catch him around doing other shows and stuff. Next up, we have the wonderful Stella.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. I'm Stella. It's great to be here. And I'd like to begin by asking all of you to please not heckle me. If you do so, I will start crying, and it will get really awkward really fast. So when I cry, I think it makes people feel the way they feel when they see one of their parents naked. Because there's no laughter when you see one of your parents naked. There's no solace, there's no respite. It is unspeakable, and yet carved into the very fabric of your soul from the moment it happens. I think the only reason Shakespeare never wrote about seeing one of your parents naked is because he wasn't skilled enough to capture the raw horror and tragedy of the situation. Anyway, now that I've, kind of introduced myself by talking about your parents' genitals, I just want to say that stand-up comedy is really weird to me because you're just some guy trying to convince a group of strangers that you're funny, but you're not. And I've personally learned that just because your parents divorced and you're mentally ill, you're not necessarily funny. Which sucks, because after the shit I've been through, the least life could do is make me funny. But I don't know if I'm funny. I mean, my friends think I'm funny, but my friends are also fucking idiots. I mean, you might be asking, how do I know this? Well, dear crowd, they're friends with me. Someone who didn't learn how to tie their shoes until they were 12 years old. Someone who cannot drive a car or ride a bike, but can legally vote in elections. Someone, and I'm not joking about this unfortunately, who had a crush on late-stage Michael Jackson in the 4th grade. Do the math. No, but I do love my friends. They're the only people dumb enough to hang out with me. And the thing is, okay, I've completely forgotten where I was. Give me 1 sec, sorry. But if you're feeling disappointed and unamused and a little bit sad that I just had to look at my phone now, you might be an audience member here tonight or one of my parents. And my parents don't think I'm funny, but I love them very much. Once when I was 7, before a softball game, I looked at my mom and I said, "Mom, this game's dedicated to you." And then proceeded to lose the game 0-5. Yeah. And she didn't even beat me once over it. I mean, if my kid dedicated a game to me like that and then lost, they'd be walking home. And if they got kidnapped on their way back, let it be a life lesson. Their final one, actually. I've got a lot of losers in my genetic pool, so at this point I have to weed out the weaklings. So my question is, how do you become funny? I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't realize comedians were lying about the stories they told. So I was so pissed off that people were living these hilarious, awesome lives, and I wasn't. But then I found out I could lie, and my world changed. It was like 9/11. 9/11 wasn't 9/11. Yeah. 9/11 jokes are great, because I wasn't alive when it happened, so I don't really feel that bad joking about it. It's like I never finished developing object permanence or something as a kid, because unless I was alive when it occurred, it's like my brain can't comprehend that it happened. So therefore, it must not have happened. Like the moon landing. But that actually didn't happen, so that's not a great example. Yeah, shout out to Peter, the moon landing preacher. That's his name. I'm not funny enough to come up with something like that. But really, I will admit, it does take a lot of bravery to be that stupid around a population as perpetually bored and creatively malicious as college students. But, yeah, life is just so much more interesting when you lie. I mean, you can be anything when you lie. If you lie to other people, you can be a politician. If you lie to yourself, you can be happy. I mean, I'm great at lying because I have a lot of experience. When I was in school counselors would ask me, "Stella, are you suicidal?" And I'd say, "No, I'm doing great, and I'm looking forward to my future." But yeah, lying is just wonderful, guys. You should do it more often. But I just wanted to say that thank you guys so much for giving me your time. I hope I gave you something to laugh at, but if not, just remember, it can't possibly be worse than seeing one of your parents naked. Was that your first time on stage? Everyone give it up for our first time, Stella.
we have the lovely Kelsey Lavin.
Hey guys, how are you enjoying the show? Ooh. All right, I got a question. Do we have any Swifties in the crowd? Any Swifties, Taylor Swift fans? All right, we're off to a great start. I don't know if you could tell by, me being a 20-year-old white woman, but I'm a bit of a Swiftie myself. Just to answer a question for you, yes, I did hate Kanye before it was cool. But one of my favorite things about Taylor Swift is I love to imagine if Taylor Swift wasn't Taylor Swift, and she was a 40-year-old man. Like, for example, if I got a call in 10 years that was like, hey, somebody you dated in your 20s wrote a 10-minute song about you, I'd be like, we need to call the guys who got Osama bin Laden on this. Like, let's get SEAL Team 6, let's get the FBI on this, like, we need to shut this shit down. I love Taylor Swift, but I have a hard time, like, condoning a lot of things that she does. Like, I don't know if you've heard this, but, like, Taylor Swift has the carbon emissions of, like, a small country. Like, she flies so much that she literally is destroying the world. Which, like, Shake It Off was good, but, like, I don't know if it was killing the polar bears good. I don't know, I think we should reevaluate that. But, I always love shit-talking Taylor Swift to the girlies. Being like, yeah, like, I love her music, but, like, let's really deep dive into her personality. But I hate when men shit-talk Taylor Swift, because they're always like, she's dated so many people. And it's like, I think my relationship with Taylor Swift is how I feel about being American. Like, love shit-talking America with other Americans. Love saying how much I hate living here. But the second a British person in a group chat is like, hey, I'm like, listen, 1766, USA, playing the piccolo, USA, USA. So it's like the second a man is like, I don't know, like, maybe she shouldn't date so many people. I'm like, listen, no one else could have written Shake It Off, okay? Kill those fucking polar bears, I don't give a shit. Another fun fact about Taylor Swift, her dad is a stockbroker. I don't know what the fuck that is, like breaking stocks or something, I don't know. I have this personal theory that if you ever want to figure out if someone's rich, you ask them what their dad does for a living, so they'll be like, a stockbroker. And then you're like, but what does he do? And if they can't explain it, it's because they're rich. So I'll give you an example. For me, okay, what does my dad do? My dad's an exterminator. Okay, so what does he do? He kills bugs. Oh, so you're fucking poor. You're poor. That tells me everything I need to know. I don't know, maybe just because I grew up impoverished, but that's at least what I think. I actually grew up in a household where my mom makes more money than my dad. So very much my mom raised me with this like feminist belief of like, make more money than your husband, make more money than any man in your life. Which was great when I came to college and I was pre-med, because it was like, I can date whoever I want. But now that I want to be a full-time comedian, it's like, okay, I'm looking for a homeless man, an English major, a musician. My favorite places to look for new men in my life is to go to an English class and look confused about Hamlet. I just don't really get what Shakespeare was trying to say. Or to walk into a film studies class and say, I don't get Pulp Fiction. I don't really get it. I wish that like Hinge had like if you could put how much money you make on there, because I would just set it to 0. Only looking for people who live in cardboard boxes. Thank you very much. Make me feel good about myself. Unfortunately, though, I am in a relationship. I've been dating my boyfriend for a while now. My boyfriend is a mechanical engineer, which is like not great for me. So every time he comes home and he's like, I don't really think I did too good on that assignment. I'm like, yes. Let's flunk out, bitches. All right, you guys have been great. My name is Kelsey Lavin. Thank you so much.
Just a little guy. It takes me a long time to get up here. All right, next up we got Jack P, I think. Yeah.
How you guys doing? Good. I'm happy to be here. person, you ever meet an old person and they tell you, you look young for your age? I feel like they're really only saying that because they want to hear you say it to them. Yeah, Phil, you look young too. You don't look a day over 50. Anyway, I was at a barber, and it was a white barber. That's not important to the story, I'm just a racist, but anyway. I walked past the barber shop. Once I looked inside, I realized he was white, but then I paused, and that gave him enough time to stick his head out and say, hey, that chair in the middle, just sit down there, I'll be with you in a minute. And now I'm trapped. I have to sit in the chair. He just offered me the chair. It's like one of those TV shows, he's Chris Hansen, I'm the pedophile. Why do you think sit over there? Right there. He starts doing his haircut bullshit, knowing damn well I'm too pussy to get out of the chair. He asks me, what do you want? I tell him, yeah, could I just have a... I feel him start shaving the back of my head. You didn't even let me finish! He says, oh yeah, no, I just only know how to do haircuts where the first step is to shave the back of the head. So, he starts making small talk. Where do you go to school? Purdue. Keeps cutting my hair. No, midway through the haircut, mid-cut, I look at myself in the mirror. He's fucking my shit up. I wonder, would I look worse if I get up and leave mid-cut, or if I let him finish? I end up letting him finish, and my self-esteem reaches a new low. He tells me, that'll be $30. I tell him, why don't you shave the back off that too, asshole? I hand him a 10. That's all I got.
Clearly you went to Great Clips. All right, next up we got Emily Reeves.
Hey, do we have any freshmen in the crowd today? Yay! So did you guys do BGR?
Yep.
Did your TLs do the TL tell-all?
Yeah.
So I was a TL, and I decided to do the TL tell-all. We weren't supposed to say TL tell-all because it's like apparently not super appropriate or something. And one of my students asked my body count, but he asked it in a really weird way, like he wasn't even sure. Like he was trying to buy a used car from a dealership. So he was like, is the leather interior damaged? I don't want the windows to roll down for anyone. Are the locks fully functional, or can anyone just get in? What's the stain on the seat? So yeah, that's how we decided to ask, and I got what he was saying. So I answered about as directly as he had asked me, and I said, well, if drunk SIGs don't count, then 0. But I'm a food science major here at Purdue, and if you don't know what that is, it's like women in STEM, but still in the kitchen. So for one of my classes, we were tasting chips. Yeah, we were tasting chips from one of my classes, and one of them was taco flavored, and the other one was taco flavored with lettuce. But they were different. So we all line up in 2 lines, like we were getting communion to go get the chips, and it had me thinking about chips, So there's so many flavors of chips. Lay's has been around 60 years, and they have over 200 flavors of chips. That's kind of crazy, considering they've only been around 60 years. On the other hand, the Catholic Church has been around for over 2,000 years, and they've made 1 chip. The body of Christ, they made 1 chip. And I'm like, okay, they need some new flavors. They need to roll out some new flavors. Where's extra cheddar, flavor blasted body of Christ? Taco Jesus. Taco Jesus with lettuce. What about peanut butter? Pair that with the grape from the wine and PB and Jesus going on. I don't know, those are just my ideas. But yeah, I'm here in college because I wanted to, not necessarily because my parents wanted me to. I mean, I'm sure I was the only one that went out of state, so I don't know if they were too happy about that. Sometimes I wonder, if my parents love me because, I lost my spot, my bad. Oh yeah, sometimes I wonder if my parents love me because I'll call them sometimes, being out of state, gotta call the parents. And they get mad because I'm interrupting their bourbon tasting with the neighbor Dave. But whenever they call me and interrupt my Wine Wednesday, then we have a problem. I don't know. But yeah, some of my friends, they say I give off stoner vibes, and I'm not really sure why, because I'm not really that into geology. But I do like plants, though. Have you ever heard of this one plant called marijuana? And that's all I have for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. All right, next up we have Kai Boyer. Woo!
All right, guys. So yesterday I went to an interview for the Purdue ambassadorship. So essentially interviewing to be a master fake it till you make it. I show up to the interview, and they're talking about all the stuff they do. And the reason I say master fake it till you make it is because they bring people on all these tours, and they're like, Purdue students are the happiest students in the world, as people are walking by classes. And then they have to talk about why all the infrastructure is so cool. So then you're walking by the bell tower and they're like, that's the belliest bell tower in the world. And you have to seem so excited about it. So then I walk into the interview and I'm expecting pretty standard questions. And then so I get up and the first thing they ask me is, if you were a scented candle, what would you smell like? And this feeling of nostalgia washed over me as I think about the smells that come in every summer from Canada. And so the first thing I say is pine bark. And Canada has these scented candles every year. You can smell this pine bark as they burn down everything. And so that's the first thing I say, pine bark. And then they're like, why? Because it brings back good memories. So then I come back home from the interview, I'm like, I feel like I did okay, and I see this family walking along with their child. The child has an ice cream cone, and I think there's this other guy walking with them, and the child drops his ice cream cone on the floor, on the ground, and I feel bad for him, the parents feel bad for him, and then this other guy is staring down, with this grin almost, staring at the child, and I realize, that's this kid's uncle. Let me tell you, uncles are put on this earth to torment small children. Uncles are the kind of people who will ask you if you want to play hide and seek, and then let you sit in the compost for the rest of the day. And then they'll almost seem surprised when you walk back and they'll say, oh, how'd the worms get out? I have an example. So one day when I was 6 or 7, I'm sitting on the floor with my coloring book. I think I'm coloring in some birds and bees, but I've run out of most of my crayons at this point, so I'm coloring the bees white and the birds pink. And I hear this voice and it's like, oh, hey, be kind. And I look up and I'm so confused, and I look straight at the fire alarm because that's where I feel like it came from. So I'm convinced, right, that there's a fairy or something in the fire alarm. I big brain moment right here. So I grab a chair. I grab a screwdriver. And I get up, and I pull open the fire alarm, and I'm like, this is going to be great. I'm going to save the fairy. I touch the fire alarm with the screwdriver. So the parents think it's cute the first time. I didn't get the fairy, guys, and I was devastated. I had to get the fairy. Look, my brain was small, but my heart was big. So the very next day, I get up on my chair again, but I'm having an identity crisis at this point, so I'm Pink Panther today. I'm sneaking around, trying to get around my parents. I sneak up the chair, I get up, I pop open the fire alarm, and then I see the battery. I'm like, yes, the fairy must be in the battery. Now here's something they don't tell 6-year-old children. The fire alarm's connected to the wall, and if you pull the battery, it's still gonna go off. So I pulled the battery out of the fire alarm. So my parents aren't very thrilled at this point. My father's sitting in the kitchen, trying to make almond milk ice cream to make the rest of the family feel better, but that's not working. My mother's sitting in her chair, looking like Tucker Carlson almost, accused of the left did this. And then sitting directly to her left is my Uncle Joey, like, I did that. But my parents are, kind of getting fed up, so they're like, okay, Uncle Joey, you gotta tell the kid that there's not a fairy in the ball. So, he wants to get fed for the next couple of days. So he gets up, he walks in front of me, like right in front of me, and he's like, okay, Kai, look, the fairy isn't real. And he says, oh, Kai, help me, right in front of me. And my eyes get wide, and I'm like, okay, the fairy's not in that fire alarm. So I run into the next room, pull open another fire alarm in the other room, and off goes, I'm not going to do it this time, and off goes the fire alarm again. So I kind of have this proclivity towards fire alarms. So then we get to a couple weeks ago, you have those RA meetings in the dorm, where they're telling you all the ground rules, don't break chairs, don't burn down the dorm, don't masturbate in the shower, all the kind of the standard things. And then he talks about don't tamper with the fire alarm. And my eyes lit up. And I have to tell you, I was that close to hopping up on a chair again in front of sort of grown-up college boys and pulling it open again. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Kai. Was that your first time up?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone give it a first timer, Kai. All right, next up we got a not first timer, Mo.
Who here has got quirky grandparents? Well, I wouldn't really call my grandpa quirky, but he was liberal for the place he was living in, Saudi Arabia. And what he did was he married outside the tribe, which was morally reprehensible in that country. But they don't call it Sweet Home Hafabatin for nothing. And he was also kind of violent. Yeah, there was this one time when he was sleeping and he heard rumbling from the roof. So, in one swift motion, he pulled out his gun and said in perfect English, "Some bitch gonna die tonight." And like a gremlin, he crawled on the walls, through the window, onto the roof, and found his guard dogs fucking each other. And he said, well, I am a man of my word. And this story wasn't told to me by my grandpa, it was told to me by my grandma. She was there when all that happened. I heard she was pretty much traumatized because she called my grandpa part of the mafia. But that behavior from my grandpa, I can't blame him for that, because I feel like it's more from the tribe he was raised in. I'm from the same tribe. And our tribe basically slaughtered and conquered pretty much the entirety of Arabia. And nowadays, we aren't really treated well. Well, mostly that we are treated as buzzsaws that are alive. Yeah, but I don't help in the stereotype, because there was this one time when I was 5 years old, and I took a Thomas the Tank Engine toy and carved my initials into my friend's face. He went crying to his dad and saying, "Dad, he did this to me, I'm bleeding." And then his dad says, "Well, that's what you get for messing with him." Like the Florida man of the East. And there was another time when I went to a clinic, and I went to the receptionist's office, and I showed him my ID. He said, "Oh, your tribe slaughtered mine 200 years ago." And I was like, I'm sorry. And then he was like, water under the bridge. That might be a COVID shot. Got one more. So, during the pandemic, my mom was becoming a bit toxic, mostly because she was on Facebook all the time, and started ordering stuff like ivermectin and colloidal silver. That was... So, fearing for her safety, I thought that it's better that I wean her off of Facebook and get her onto Reddit. Huge mistake. It was like trying to get a cocaine addict off cocaine by getting them hooked on meth. Now my mom is perusing all of the horrible subreddits like Purdue, r/dragons fucking cars, and worst of all, r/sink pissers. Which is not a porn Reddit if you look at it. It's genuine people trying to save water by pissing in their sinks. That's all I got.
Reddit moms, gotta love them. Next up, we got Alden.
Little step from over here to here is kind of awkward, though, right? So I was at the grocery store earlier this week, and I was in the vegetable aisle. I don't like cucumbers, but all the cucumbers were gone, and this made me question things, right? Who was buying all of these cucumbers? They were all gone. There were racks of it, and they were gone. And it just makes me think of those elementary school math problems, right, that we do when we're kids. If Jimmy buys 10 cucumbers, he gives 5 to Sarah and 3 to Tom, how many does he have left to shove up his ass? A nurse friend of mine actually told me about this guy that came in, true story, because he had a cucumber shoved up his asshole, and he left it there for 3 whole days. Now you would think, it's kind of weird, right? It became mushy. I would hope that it would become a pickle. That's not how that works. But like, that was my thought, right? It would become a pickle. Because then I'd probably start wanting to eat cucumbers if I knew that an asshole was part of the process. It's like that really expensive coffee from meerkat poop. You know, you get it from the meerkat and it tastes better. I'm too poor to buy that kind of coffee. But cucumbers are pretty cheap. So I might go to the store there. So yeah, as it's been a while since I've been on stage, it feels a little weird. But to know me better, if you haven't been here for previous years, I have 3 nipples. I was born with 3 nipples. The other guy's right around here. And I call him, this is also true, I call him Colonel Sanders, because his finger's looking good. And nipples on a guy are already useless, right? Like, you're not doing anything with them. You can't lactate out of them. I've tried. Trust me, I've tried to lactate out of my nipples. I can't do it. I'm not privileged like that. But my third nipple, a third nipple on a guy, that's about as useless as a massive penis on a chemical engineering student. They're not using it. You might as well give it to someone in need. I wish my nipples were detachable and then retractable. You know, like one of those ID cards that you have right here. So that way I can throw them on people and get them back. To do this, I've gotten really good at sewing. Not because I don't want to lift up my shirt every time that I want to like throw a nipple. I want to pull a pocket down and take a little pocket, 3 little pockets, throw a nipple, and then when the person's like, okay, he's done, he's thrown 2 nipples. Surprise, you're a nipple. That's it.
Thank you, Alden, for that wonderful visual. All right, rounding out our night, we have Koosh.
Could you tell I was fat by the amount of time it took me to walk from here to here? Also, my doctor said I'm morbidly obese. Yeah. So, this set is entirely unplanned. I walked in here to watch y'all perform and then you guys convinced me to perform. So this set is entirely unplanned. It's like my mom's pregnancy. Let's start. Hello ma'am, my name is Alex. I'm calling from Microsoft Tech Support. That's the wrong script. Give me a minute. Hello everyone, my name is Kushagra. And I'm from India. This entire set is going to be in my mother tongue. Tech support. Scam. I'm just kidding. I know my English, contrary to popular belief. But if you do have issues understanding me, come to me after the show and I can teach you how to use the metric system. Regardless, for the next few minutes, I'm going to explain to you certain things that were wild to me when I landed in God bless America. Number one, Walmart. Do you understand how bewildering the very concept of a Walmart is to the average Indian? I'm not average. But yeah, I can house my entire family and 4 generations after that in the land of Walmart occupies. Walmart is like an amusement park for middle-class Indian moms. And what's this bullshit I hear? Target is expensive, Walmart is cheap. I go bankrupt regardless every time I walk into the snacks aisle. Do you understand how insane it is that I can buy Tide Pods for my laundry, spices for my butter chicken, because for some reason you all like sweet food, and a laptop for my gift card scams within 200 feet of each other? In India, I'd have to travel in 3 buses, 3 auto rickshaws. How many of you know what an auto rickshaw is? Exactly. And 15 Ubers, 13 of which would be cancelled just to buy a pair of headphones. Speaking of Ubers, why are your Ubers so nice? Y'all are spoiled. And I know you have no idea what I'm talking about. Because when I order an Uber here, I get a Dodge, Kia, Chevrolet to come pick me up. In India, the damn Uber driver is annoyed I called him. He pulls up in a bullock cart or something that's been through multiple hate crimes and acts like I'm polluting it by just existing. And while driving, he's watching Insta Reels. Because, like, you do know, right? TikTok is banned in India. My brother, there is a cow in front of the car while you're watching the cow on your phone. And lastly, Wi-Fi speeds. I tried to download Baby by Justin Bieber in 2014 when I was in India. Long story short, I heard the song yesterday. For the first time. Meanwhile, I tried downloading a whole 40 GB game, thinking it's going to take a few hours, so I'll grab Chick-fil-A because I'm Indian, can't eat beef. Bro, before my fat ass can reach the door, the game's downloaded and I'm being served a 4-course meal with Sauvignon Blanc. But yeah, speaking of Wi-Fi speeds, I think I'm late for my shift at the Microsoft call center. Thank you. Yeah!
Thank you very much, everyone, for coming out tonight. We have been PSUCC. Follow us on Instagram at Purdue, that is Purdue SUCC. Thank you. Have a good night. Do your homework.